I held my breath and drifted my finger over the name of his last time on Earth, whispering to myself, Aaron Taylor. A moment later, the stone wall I'd been holding dissolved from my grip, but I didn't fall. Instead, I was being carried swiftly as if a gust of warm wind had picked me up. Below me, cities, forests, and oceans passed. Other people's heavens. There was no sound, just silence. The wind slowed and I began to fall toward a distant territory. This time I was standing on the edge of a clearing, encircled by boulders. Instantly I wondered if I'd made a mistake or something went wrong. Most people's heavens were typically constructed using simple reminders of their favorite things on Earth, like spending a peaceful day at the beach or vacationing in tranquil Tuscan villas. I've even visited one designed around an amusement park with hot dogs appearing out of thin air by snapping your fingers and soda pouring from straws suspended throughout the park. But this heaven was definitely not typical. All around me, bright white lights flashed back and forth through the clearing, mimicking giant bolts of lightning. Some of them collided, resonating fantastic booms, but it seemed that most were evading each other. I noticed with a slight amount of apprehension the boulders surrounding me were too close together. A piece of paper couldn't be wedged between them. It didn't take long to realize that despite the storm of light swirling around me, I was going to need to climb out. I turned, gripped the jagged part of the rock, and hauled myself up. I was halfway to the top when I found myself being pulled back into the middle of the clearing. I landed nearly 20 feet away from where I'd been, hitting a hard dirt patch that would have broken bones if it had been on Earth. One of the bright white lights was hovering over me, and I realized I was in trouble. I grabbed a reed, conveniently lying at my side, bringing it up to defend myself just as the light came down on me. The entire instance, from the boulder to being attacked, took less than a second. Whatever these things were, they moved fast. That's when I heard a deep, rumbling laugh a few feet to my right. I'd closed my eyes without knowing it, and suddenly they snapped open. Staring up toward the sky, I found Aaron standing over me, where the light had been just a second ago. His blue-green eyes were wide and intense, focusing on me. Something in the back of my mind registered that the light had been Aaron. With all that action, I would have thought he'd be heaving for breath, but he wasn't. In fact, his mouth was pinched, again, showing disapproval. I avoided his stare and sat up, quickly noticing I was surrounded by men, each wearing clothes from a different era and holding a staff. Aaron was wearing clothes I was more familiar with. A flannel shirt, dark jeans, hiking boots, and a baseball cap. The staff he held was made of brass with a purple jewel at the top and looked out of place next to his informal attire. I'd never seen him so casual, yet despite the impracticality of it, he still managed to look like a model from a sporting goods catalog. "She has talent, Aaron," said an Asian man with a braided white beard hanging to his knees. A staff lay at his feet until he reached out his hand. As if he were beckoning it, the staff levitated and moved effortlessly into the man's waiting palm. "You may think about sparring with her from now on," he added, chuckling. The men laughed and turned as if they knew their warring session was over. Gracefully, they lifted from the ground, floating up over the trees. Aaron offered me a hand as I picked myself up, but I ignored it. Once on my feet, he inspected me. "Are you hurt?" I rolled my eyes. "I wish you'd stop asking me that. And I wish you'd stop placing yourself in danger so I wouldn't need to ask."
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.